So make a Pinterest board is an idea. So we are doing another group chat video today, which if you haven't seen the other one that I did, it's about confidence. This one is called How to Roommate. So I've only ever had 4 roommates.
I've had 10.
This is one of my roommates that I've had in the past, not now, because I live with my parents now. So we're just going to talk about finding a roommate.
How to deal with them, how to make it comfortable, because it's not always comfortable living with people that you haven't always lived with. You do have to learn how to live with them. So.
Yeah. And like, we're going to talk about all these things relating to your roommates and how to be a good roommate. And this is good for like if you're in college, if you're not in college and you're just like not ready to live on your own yet, but you want to get out of your parents' house. These are just, in general, living with other people tips. Before we get like all into the business of this video, this is Susannah Vera. If you guys don't know her from other videos on this channel, like the Sing With Me, or no, not
Don't Sing Musical Theater Edition challenge
thing. And then we did a video on her channel. Go check that out. Go subscribe to her because she's good people.
So let's see. The first thing you're going to want to know is how to find a good roommate. So when you're looking for a roommate, you're not looking for someone that you can be best friends with or someone that is going to just be your hangout pal all the time, which it could be. A good roommate doesn't need to be your best friend. It just has to be someone that you're compatible living-wise with them, not with like interests and stuff, just like in living. So
yeah, like I had my first set of roommates I found on Facebook. Like there was like this Facebook group of students from our university that were looking for roommates, and she had posted in there that she was looking for 2 female roommates. And so one of my other friends and I were like, oh, like this is perfect, we've been looking for a place to live. We went, we saw the place, we liked the vibe of it, but we really didn't know her at all. And it ended up being completely different than what like I thought it was gonna be. So make sure that like when you're looking for your roommate, you have a like list of questions to ask ahead of time. Some questions might be, what hours do you typically work? If somebody works early in the morning all the time, but Susannah does theater, so she's out late at night. So like you want to make sure that you're not like stepping on each other's toes, because it's more than just like, oh, I want to know when you're home and when I'm home. Like if you want to be home at the same time or not is like personal preference, but it's also like, you know, like I'm gonna not be home during this time and I'm gonna want my friends over around this time.
Right, it's
whatever. When
you are home, what are you gonna want to do with the space? Like for us, we like to film YouTube videos. We like to sing a lot. Sometimes we like to cook. Have friends over, but not like huge groups of people. Some people might want to have like their friend group over all the time, you know, and maybe that's something that you like, or maybe that's something that you don't, and it might seem like a small thing, but when you have other people in your house, if that's not something that you wanted to begin with, it can be a strain. So keep that in mind. So so far we have hours of being awake, hours of being home, what you like to do in your home. Yeah, and also like one of the things, like once you've found your roommate, because you're gonna ask all these questions ahead of time, like to do the screening process. Just talk a little bit. Don't be like, we should totally move in. Just be like, well, okay, like, so tell me a little bit about yourself. You know? This is gonna sound weird, but go on like a coffee date to Starbucks. Like you just want to like get like a good feel for the person. Go on like a first date with them, not romantic date, a roommate date. Don't make it weird. That's something I wish that I had done with my first living situation. If I had just like spent a little bit more time with her, I wouldn't have necessarily moved in there. Or if I had moved in there, I would have been more prepared for it. But yeah, like you want to make sure you have all those things figured out. Allergies, like if they're allergic to your cat, or if you have a dog, or if you have a puppy that isn't done being potty trained yet. These kinds of things. Like, so I love animals. I love dogs, and I don't like super love cats, but I enjoy it when other people have cats. So if someone, the only thing that they knew about me was like, oh, she likes animals, you know, but then they wanted to bring an animal into my apartment to stay, that would be a different story.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't necessarily want that, even though I would really enjoy their animals in a different space.
Mm-hmm. The owner of the pet should be primarily responsible for them, but if you need help, you shouldn't assume your roommates are going to do it. You should ask.
Don't move in with a stranger. You don't have to know them super well, but don't move in with a stranger.
Yeah.
Don't do it. You might end up being great friends, or it could end up being the worst thing ever, and then you're stuck in a contract with them, you know? So, just get to know them a little bit, know what you want, and ask them some questions. Let them ask you questions, too.
So once you've found your roommate, and you're like, all right, this is my roommate, this is where we're living, you're going to want to, like, lay down those ground rules, the things that you kind of discussed before on your roommate coffee date. You want to, like, actually put them on paper to reference.
Even post them if you have, like, a cork board or, like, maybe a place in the hallway where you can just put it up there. Might be a little bit annoying, but it helps just for everyone to have those rules. But be aware that they're going to change. Like, things change. You might pick quiet hours and then, oh, you know what, maybe that doesn't really work so well. Let's do something else. Or there might be a concern that you did not see coming and, like, all of a sudden, oh, like, what do we do in this situation? There's an issue we didn't foresee.
Yeah. And, like, other things to talk about in your roommate contract or your roommate rules or house rules or whatever you want to call it, other than quiet hours and, like, cleaning schedules, maybe, like, I don't know, I think we had a rule in our old apartment about guys not spending the night, but then, like, that rule changed too. So, like, it's just, communication is important.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I think the big thing to know with roommates, the big thing to keep in mind all the time is just, it's about mutual respect. And mutual meaning, respect your roommates and make sure that you're getting the respect that you need to live comfortably in your own space.
Yeah.
So it definitely goes both ways. And make sure that if your roommate brings up something that is bothering them, even though it might not seem like an issue to you, listen to them, but also make sure that you're being heard too. It's got to go both ways for it to be a healthy situation. Yeah, you want to respect them, and you want to respect your shared spaces too. So obviously you're going to have maybe your own room, or if you share a room, you're going to have, you know, like maybe your own corner and stuff like that. But you especially want to respect those places that everyone's going to be using. Like, a big one in my apartment is the kitchen, you know? Whether or not the kitchen is clean, whether or not the kitchen is being used at certain hours has been, like...
I think that's everywhere, too, because that's, like, in our old apartment, it was like that. And then in the apartment I was in before, it was like that. Like, everybody's going to want a clean kitchen, but not everybody is going to clean the kitchen.
Food is an interesting thing that you'll definitely want to bring up, because I've had... Well, like I said, I've had 10 roommates, and so they've all, like, differed on what they feel about food and shared food. I've had some people be like, no, you know, my food is my food. You can ask if you want, but I'm not going to guarantee you can have it. And then I've had other roommates that are like, what's mine is yours. Like, take what you want. And then I'm kind of somewhere in the middle where I'm like, well, yeah, my food's my food, but yeah, you can also have it, you know, but just make sure you know where the lines are. Yeah. Like, it doesn't matter what the lines are as long as both sides know.
Yeah, you need to know what your lines are as well. Because for me, like, at first I was just like, oh yeah, we're all gonna share food, whatever. But then I found out that, like, in my first apartment, I was the only one buying groceries and everybody was using them. What we did when we lived together, we normally would actually cook together. So we'd use, like, my pasta noodles and her pasta sauce, and then
I highly recommend that if you have roommates that you get along with. Make food together, or make food for each other. You know, that's, like, the best thing to do, because then they can be like, you can offer it to them, and they'd be like, oh, no thanks, or oh yeah, I'd love some, and, you know, then that gets to be a bonding experience too, the making the food and the eating it.
Another thing about pantries and fridges
and freezers.
Freezers, oh my gosh, we're gonna get to
that. Let me tell you.
Freezers. Freezers are really hard to organize because they're so small, and if, like, you have multiple people, more than 2 people using a freezer, it can get really stuffed.
And freezers usually don't have shelves.
Yeah, first off, it can get stuffed with repetitive things. So, like, in our old freezer, we had, like, 5 bags of frozen blueberries. I don't know whose all they were. They weren't mine. I think they were yours and Trisha's.
Yeah,
but
I know.
like,
I had like 2 bags of them.
But like people would rebuy things, not knowing that they already had it,
because we'd get them confused and be like, I don't know whose these are, so I'm just gonna buy more because I don't know. Yeah. And then one time there was some cereal that had just been sitting around for a long time, and I was like, well, I guess this isn't anyone's cereals, and I ate it. And then my roommate was like, what happened to my cereal? I was like, I'm so sorry. Let me go buy you some. So I bought 3 boxes of that kind of cereal because I felt bad. But like,
can we talk about communication for a second? Okay. I need some tea for this because
I think the most important thing to do is to be calm, be considerate, there's so much. There's so much that goes into it.
Here's the thing. First off, know that all of the roommates should be paying to live in this place, a house, apartment, whatever. And so you should be considerate of the fact that they are paying to exist there, but you should remember...
And vice versa. They should do the same for you.
Yeah. Like, you shouldn't have to ask permission to exist in a place that you're paying for.
Communication is obviously important for everything in life. For jobs, for any kind of relationship, for roommates. You have to be very thoughtful of what goes into it, you know? When you're asking someone to fix something that they did, you have to approach it in a really polite way. Otherwise, it could offend people, and it could be like, wow, okay, you're calling me out about this, but you do the same thing. So, just make sure that you're bringing things up in a nice, considerate way. But also make sure that you're able to be heard, too, because that's important. Mm-hmm. It's easy to get just walked over and be like, well, it's not important. It was a small thing. But if it's important to you at all, then it's important. And let them know that.
Mm-hmm. And that could be about anything. It could be like, hey, I'm not comfortable with your boyfriend spending the night every night this month and not helping pay for the electricity he's using and the Wi-Fi he's using and the food that he's eating, Like, I mean, like, I get it. I get wanting to be protected and, like, having, like, the help of, like, the financial responsibility, but if there's, like, another way to do it, like, maybe they had offered to, like, cook you dinner or something, like, just have a little bit more grace in those situations. Like, if it's something that's truly making you uncomfortable and making you feel unsafe, then absolutely, like, speak it. But if it's just, like, a convenience thing, kind of weigh it, see if it's worth an argument.
Let me tell you, most things are not. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about something fun about shared spaces, and that's getting to decorate your apartment.
I love decorating.
Decorating can be so much fun, especially if you and your roommates work on it together. Just kind of like with the cooking thing, it could be a bonding experience. It could be, it is a way to express yourself.
Yeah, and especially in shared spaces, I think that, like, in our old apartment, like, you shared a room with Trisha, I had my own room. So I was really able to, like, decorate my own room however I wanted, but you didn't really get that because you had to share a room.
I got to decorate pretty much my side of the room as if it was my own room, and the same with my roommate that I shared a room with.
Yeah. The living room and stuff,
the living room and the kitchen, yeah.
I feel like everyone should be able to, like, decorate a little bit. Mm-hmm. You should, even if you're
talk about a vision for it, Yeah. Like, this is
make a Pinterest board.
Yeah.
We did that. Mm-hmm. We had a Pinterest board of, like, kitchen aesthetics and stuff.
Yeah.
For, like, the living room if you share a bathroom and stuff. Because decorating your space is what makes it yours. It's like putting your soul on the wall a little bit. You get a feel for the entire household. And if it's just one person who decorates the entire space, and I'm not just talking about furniture, because furniture, if one person has all the furniture, that's great. Mm-hmm. Kudos. Like,
and if one person wants to decorate the whole apartment and everyone likes it, that's great too.
Yeah.
But if there's something that you don't like that's up and you're like, man, I think that's so ugly and it's the first thing people see when they walk in, or man, I would really not like that to be a representation of our shared space, Mm-hmm. Feel free to, or like, make sure that you and your roommates can talk about that and fix it.
Yeah, because, like, what if they have, like, this piece of art that they love and it's like drawing of a Disney princess with all these tattoos and she's flipping off the camera, and they think it's great because women empowerment or whatever, but you look at it and you don't like it, then
you gotta speak up in those kind of situations because it's so important. I can't stress this enough. You have to be comfortable in the place that you're living. You know, and it's gonna take a little bit of discomfort, you know, to go out there and be like, hey, I don't like this, but it's worth it. The point we're trying to make is that there's going to be a lot of things that you don't realize are even issues or even subjects of conversation, and they are, you know. There is going to be stuff that comes up. So then, like, I'm already done with my tea. Can we just take a second? Like,
your tea is almost full, and mine is
I'm half full. You chug tea, I sip tea.
Because
I like the tea.
Go watch the footage. I've been sipping.
You want some of this?
Sure. Tasty.
Let's talk about money. Everyone's favorite thing. So, actually, this has never really been an issue for me.
But
it comes up
for me.
Yeah,
it's been an issue for me.
It's a thing.
So when we're talking about bill splitting, it's not just rent. Everybody like starts and ends the conversation with a rent, but there's more than rent that you have to pay for in an apartment, including Wi-Fi, gas and electricity, sometimes water and trash. Like if you guys are all sharing the same Netflix account, who's paying for it?
So Wi-Fi is one of those kind of variable things. You can get different providers and different plans, so make sure you're agreeing on that and making sure that everyone pays it on time. So just set a deadline and
have the deadline for when your roommates like get the money together for a bill be like a week before the bill is actually due, or
because they'll tell you how much the bill is beforehand. So
or even if you could do it 2 weeks ahead of time, because that way, like let's say rent is actually due on the 15th, but you're the person who collects rent from everybody, so you say it's due on the 1st. That way, if they are late with it, it doesn't actually affect the entire apartment. Like it's okay, like there's that window of time.
Electricity. This one has been an issue for me. Not even so much because of money, but just air conditioning and heater. So let's talk a little bit about that. That is one of those things that you should kind of ask your roommates before they're your roommates is, do you like the apartment to be more cold or more warm?
And the other thing is, like, when you are roommates, you need to talk about, are we going to have the AC and heater on when we're not home?
The answer should be no.
Are we going to have it on when we're sleeping? If we have the air on, all the windows need to be closed. If we have the heater on, the windows all need to be closed. If we are leaving and we're the last one to leave, make sure you turn it off, that kind of thing.
This can actually be a subject of much disagreement because people's body temperatures literally just run different, you know, like the way that they handle temperature. So come to an agreement, compromise. That's going to be the biggest thing. You just have to find a compromise. You're not going to get to have the temperature exactly where you want it all the time because people are different.
But, and if you can, and if you're trying to, like, for your roommate contract or whatever, have, like, a maximum and minimum of the thermostat, you might want to look on Google and just be like, hey, like, what are the averages in this area that I live in of wintertime?
Rolling again. It stopped recording in the middle of that. And we don't really know exactly where we were.
We were talking about electricity and how, like, just know what your roommates want and what you want in terms of, like, turning off lights and AC and stuff like that, you know? Find a compromise.
Also, if you can keep receipts, that would be helpful because, like, if you forgot to charge them and they owe you money for the electricity, or if they say you didn't pay rent, but you did pay rent, then you have a record of it. They have a record, you have a record. If you get, like, a receipt book, or you could use a notebook and just, like, sign it and have them sign it and date it the day you give them money. That way there's just a record of it because it's just easier.
It sounds tedious. It sounds like, why would you need to do that? But honestly, like, you don't want to cheat yourself. You don't want to cheat your roommates. And you just want to make sure that you get all your bases covered. It's worth it.
Yeah, and it's better than, like, I don't remember that, and then this whole miscommunication thing will happen. So it's easier to just have it as a record, a document that you can refer to and be like, oh, okay, my bad, whatever.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I cheated myself out of a lot of money because my electricity bill would come straight out of my bank account, and sometimes I would just forget to charge my roommates. And now tips and tricks, yeah?
Yes, tips and tricks. General tips and tricks. Shoot.
So, find music and shows that both you and your roommates like and enjoy. What are you doing? So, like, for example, I've made Spotify playlists with music that we all have in common, and you can play that when you're cooking or something like that. Or if you find a TV show that you all enjoy watching, that could be something that you have on in the evenings or the afternoons when everybody's home.
Yep.
It's an opportunity to bond with each other and just to enjoy the same things in your shared space.
Yeah. Or I would say also is if you're planning on going to the beach, invite your roommates because it's an experience that you guys can share with each other. Or if you're even just going to see a movie or going to the gym and climbing out a rock wall or whatever, like just invite them because an invite is always nice. They can always say no if they don't want to go. And the worst thing that'll happen is that they become your friend. Scandal.
Think we're good? Yeah, let us know if you have any roommate tips or ideas or any ideas for future group chats.
Yes, let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to check out Susannah's channel and our video that we made on her channel. And then I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye now.
Bye.